White bread and refined grains are among the most consumed staples in modern diets, yet they are quietly fueling a public health crisis that extends far beyond empty calories. Stripped of fiber, minerals, and essential nutrients during processing, these foods are nutritional imposters, engineered to be soft, shelf-stable, and palatable, but ultimately damaging to metabolic health. Their widespread presence in everything from sandwiches and breakfast toast to pasta and pastries makes them especially insidious. Most people consume them daily without question, unaware that they are feeding the very conditions that are cutting their lives short: obesity, type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and chronic inflammation. To understand why white bread and refined grains are so harmful, we must first look at what's missing. Whole grains, in their natural form, contain three key parts: the bran, rich in fiber and antioxidants; the germ, packed with vitamins and healthy fats; and the endosperm, mostly starch. During the refining process, the bran and germ are removed, along with almost all of the grain's fiber, magnesium, B vitamins, and phytonutrients. What remains is the endosperm, a rapidly digestible starch that acts like pure sugar in the body. In essence, eating white bread is nutritionally closer to eating sugar than to eating a whole food. This stripped-down starch has a high glycemic index, meaning it quickly spikes blood sugar levels after consumption. These glucose surges trigger a powerful insulin response, which over time desensitizes the body's cells to insulin, a key step in the development of insulin resistance. Once insulin resistance sets in, the body has to pump out even more insulin to manage blood sugar levels, leading to chronically elevated insulin and blood sugar. This hormonal imbalance is at the heart of metabolic syndrome, a cluster of conditions that includes belly fat, hypertension, high triglycerides, and low HDL cholesterol. Eventually, it paves the way for type 2 diabetes, a disease that is both preventable and increasingly common in populations that consume refined grains daily. But the harm doesn't end with blood sugar. Refined grains are deeply connected to obesity. Because they lack fiber, they digest rapidly, causing hunger to return soon after eating. This creates a cycle of overeating, blood sugar crashes, and more cravings, especially for other high-carb, high-sugar foods. Fiber plays a critical role in satiety, digestion, and blood sugar control, and when it's absent, as it is in white bread, the body loses an important mechanism for self-regulation. People end up eating more, absorbing more calories, and storing more fat, particularly visceral fat that surrounds the organs and drives inflammation. This chronic low-grade inflammation is now recognized as a key player in almost every major degenerative disease, including heart disease, Alzheimer's, arthritis, and cancer. Refined carbohydrates, like those found in white bread and pasta, are known to promote inflammatory markers such as C-reactive protein, CRP. Over time, this inflammatory environment damages blood vessels, promotes plaque formation in arteries, and accelerates aging. In essence, what seems like a simple sandwich could be fueling a silent fire in your body, one that takes decades to become obvious, but is already doing damage beneath the surface. Another issue with refined grains is their profound effect on the gut. Whole grains contain prebiotic fiber that feeds beneficial gut bacteria, supporting digestion, immune health, and even mood regulation. Refined grains offer none of this benefit. Instead, they pass quickly through the digestive system, leaving the microbiome undernourished. An unhealthy gut environment has been linked not only to metabolic disorders, but also to autoimmune diseases, depression, and cognitive decline. By replacing whole grains with white bread and refined products, people are starving the very microbial ecosystem that helps protect them. Many white breads and refined grain products are also laced with additives, preservatives, and sometimes even sugars to improve flavor, texture, and shelf life. These chemicals further erode health by burdening the liver, disrupting hormones, and in some cases, contributing to food sensitivities or allergic reactions. Bleached flour, a common ingredient in white bread, is often treated with chemicals like benzoyl peroxide or chlorine dioxide, which do nothing for your health and raise questions about long-term safety. Moreover, the habitual consumption of refined grains displaces healthier foods. Every sandwich made with white bread is a missed opportunity to include nutrient-dense options like whole grain breads, legumes, vegetables, or high-fiber starches. The cumulative impact of these lost opportunities is profound. A diet consistently lacking in fiber, antioxidants, and micronutrients leaves the body vulnerable to oxidative stress, impaired detoxification, and cellular damage. And let's not forget the psychological and social dimensions. Because white bread and refined grain products are everywhere, and often marketed as wholesome or classic, many people do not even realize they are harming themselves. School lunches, hospital meals, airline food, and workplace cafeterias routinely serve refined grains as a default, reinforcing the idea that they are normal or even necessary. But normalization doesn't make a food safe. Tobacco was once normalized too. Children are especially affected by this widespread dietary mistake. White bread is often one of the first foods introduced to children and continues to be a staple throughout school years in the form of sandwiches, rolls, crackers, and breakfast cereals. This early exposure sets up a preference for soft, sweet, easily digested starches over whole, fibrous foods, essentially training the palate for a lifetime of poor food choices. And because childhood obesity and early onset type 2 diabetes are now common, the implications of this dietary foundation are devastating. The truth is that white bread and refined grains are a hidden driver of chronic disease. Their visual simplicity hides a metabolic danger that plays out over years, subtly at first, then catastrophically. They offer nothing of value the body needs and much that it does not: blood sugar chaos, inflammatory response, gut microbiome disruption, and increased fat storage. Replacing them with whole, intact grains or other complex carbohydrate sources is not a luxury. It is a necessity for anyone seeking long-term health and protection from disease. In the modern food environment, white bread and refined grains are everywhere, often cheaper and more convenient than healthier alternatives. But their affordability comes at a steep cost to public health, quality of life, and healthcare systems. To continue consuming them out of habit or convenience is to quietly surrender to a slow, preventable decline. Awareness, substitution, and systemic change are urgently needed. Otherwise, these soft, fluffy staples will continue to harden arteries and shorten lives, one sandwich at a time.